Hello, everyone. Johnny Disc Golf back with another interview, and this time I am joined by the newest member of Team Thoughtspace Athletics, Mr. Chandler Fry. How we doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. Really, it's a treat to be able to talk to all the new players, or all the players with their new sponsorships, I should say. So it's something I look forward to every year, getting able to or being able to chat.
Yeah.
What's the mood like over there? Like, I know you've been with Discraft for a long time. You know, you haven't done a lot of sponsor
Yeah.
changes. So what is the energy like now that we're switching it up?
Man, I gotta say, the team I'm joining over at ThoughtSpace is probably the coolest team I've ever experienced. We got James, we got Eric, we got Ali Smith, we got Luke or Lucky. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. I apologize. I'll just call her Lucky. Matt
Go with
Bell.
Lucky.
There's a lot of energy going. Yeah, there's a lot of energy going on with ThoughtSpace right now. There's a lot of pride in their work, a lot of pride in the team, and I'm just looking forward to get out there and seeing what I can do with the new plastic. It's fun to choose from just hundreds of different choices instead of just like Discraft had a great choice of discs, but open bag is another level.
Yes, it's a very different kind of experience switching to an open bag sponsorship as opposed to something with just such like Discraft has great discs, but it's pretty much like one of each
Yeah,
thing. So there's not a lot of decision making per
yeah,
se. I want to get
for
into
sure.
that element of it, but I think if anybody's been paying attention to social media, they've got to be asking the question: how's the shin, Chandler? What happened?
Well, so I've been going to the gym this off season pretty hard with Ella Hansen. She's my quasi physical trainer, and we're we're towards the end of our workout yesterday. And Ella was like, "Let's do some box jumps," and I'm like, "Let's do it." Okay, I'm a little tired. My legs are a little fried right now, but I should be able to do this. And on the 17th box jump, I completely missed the box and landed on both of my shins. And it's like a rounded corner too, so I didn't expect too much.
Ah,
And so whilst I was rolling on the ground in pain, cursing, uh, no tears, no
that's
tears.
good.
Pretty proud of that. Uh, it's okay to cry, obviously, but I was I handled it pretty well, except for all the f words. Um, but I felt my shin, and I'm like, oh, there is a considerable dent in my shin. And then I pulled my hand up, and there was blood, and I ended up getting 13 stitches at the ER.
Oh,
Wouldn't recommend it. And also, I also realized that box jumping is a young man's exercise. It's not for me. I'm not doing it anymore.
yeah, I
My
don't
knees are
blame you.
fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Kudos for getting in shape and doing the whole strength training thing, but Chandler, we need those legs, man. We need you out on tour. We can't have you
Yeah.
like busting anything up. What's the timetable? Are you like out of the gym for the time period? Are you like it kind of hurts, but you can still work out? What's the status?
I can still work out right now, just do arm and back and all that. But I'm not playing disc golf for a few days. It's like a week
Yeah.
max. And the doctor said it's just kind of a feel thing. Whenever I feel comfortable to get out back on the course, I'm able to. But I can go in the backyard right now and putt with no
Okay,
pain.
good.
So
So no,
it was
no
just
like
a brutal looking gash. I haven't felt that kind of pain in a while, so it was good to remind myself that I am human and I do bleed. It was good.
it's honestly, I haven't fallen in so long. Like you forget that like one can have scabs and stuff like that as you get older. So you
Yeah.
get the whole new joy of like falling down like a 10-year-old all over again. I kind of like it. Um,
Also a cool
Thought
new
space,
scar. So
bro. It's a funkiest shape too. It's like dented. It almost has a U to it. I saw Ella's post that it like
yeah.
even your cut smile. I was dying.
Yeah, it's actually right now they sewed it into like a nice little V. So hopefully
Oh,
the scar is not too noticeable, but it's gonna be there forever and ever.
I like it. It's like a Star
Yeah,
Trekian shape at this point, kind of. So we can maybe go with an
yeah.
homage. Um,
I was trying to
the
think of
the
other crazy stories about my how I got the scar, but box jump is what I'm sticking with.
well, enough about off-season accidents, incidents, potential bloodletting that's occurred over the 2023 off-season, and switch it up for really the reason for the season, the announcement. I so closely associate you with Discraft just because you've had that logo on your back the entire time I've been on tour, the entire time I've known you, And I can imagine it's a big adjustment to, it is open bag, so I'm sure there might be a disc or two that stays, but
Yeah.
in large part, this has been your tool bag on the course for so long. What was that mindset like? What was the energy like? Like, how did you feel about making a switch after this many years of Discraft?
Yeah, it was a scary time. There's a lot of players in my situation, same situation on the tour team that I was talking to, and they wouldn't make that. They wouldn't leave. It's kind of a security blanket for them where they know what they're going to get. Um, and for me, I'm looking 3 years in the future. I'm not looking for right now. So I was talking to Thoughtspace, and they talked about the potential of like being a traveling vendor slash clinician. And in a few years that'd be kind of cool if I can do that. Because I know I'm 33. I'm not a young buck anymore. I'm falling at the gym, gashing up my shin. So I wanted to kind of think about the future and what I can do and still be involved in disc golf, maybe play a few tournaments, but not necessarily just rely on the playing itself. Because the last couple of years I've had have not been great, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, I'm just looking for the future, and I got to know Aaron Wilmot over at ThoughtSpace. I get to hang out in Maine quite a bit, and just a nice family environment there. The team that I'm joining, like I mentioned, oh my gosh, like I can't wait to do clinics with them. I can't wait to bend with them. Uh, yeah, it just felt like the right move at the time. But at the same point, it is a terrifying decision to make because Discraft, I did have a family there, and I still do. We're all still good over there. It's just I know them. I know what I'm getting from them. I know the discs very well, and we'll see. We'll see. It's definitely the archer, not the arrows.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like I love that old Z Force. I love the big Z Comet. It's gonna be hard to find replacements for them.
Well, you mentioned it a little bit there, and that was something that I kind of wanted to tag on was why thought space athletics as opposed to, there's 10, probably 8 to 10 equivalent, slightly bigger or like, slightly lower on the totem pole of like, the companies that you could be sponsored by. But what was it about ThoughtSpace Athletics? Like, what were you looking for in a contract? Or was it just a familial energy?
A little bit. So the familiar energy for sure, but there's also the upward mobility. I didn't see that with Discraft. I didn't see the chance to actually
Mm,
work for the company in a role that I
mm-hmm.
found suitable for me. And also, as I said, I get to hang out in Maine quite a bit during the season. I make an effort to go up there and visit CR Farms. I don't know if you've played there with Kathy and Randy McDevitt. They're fantastic people. And they're right by Thought Space, and so I was able to go over to the factory, hang out with them for a bit, play a couple rounds with them, get to play with Paul, with the warehouse lead, and just talk plastic, and it just fit. It sounded right, and also I'm going to keep going back to it, but I got the homies, the crew that I'm joining, the team that I'm joining, Proctor, Stinchcombe, Oakley, Smith, Bell, Lorenzen. Like it's going to be just probably one of the coolest teams I've ever been a part of. Just to and for content on YouTube, social media, and all that, it's just going to be so easy to create stuff. So I'm looking forward to all those aspects, but mostly it's just ThoughtSpace is a fantastic company. It's small right now, but they're growing. The potential is huge. Their artwork on their discs, in my opinion, second to none. Sometimes I just find myself
Mm-hmm.
looking at the discs, being like, "Dang, that's pretty cool looking." So there's just a lot of
Yeah.
different aspects that went into it, but mostly it's just upward mobility, and it's in Maine, which I love.
Yeah, feelings mutual. Like I love Maine too. I have family all in the Northeast, and
Cool.
for many summers growing up, we went to Maine, Agunquit, kind of that southwestern part of Maine or southeastern part of Maine, and
Yeah.
I completely hear you. Like it feels like relaxation. You like drive across the border,
Yeah.
like ah.
Yeah,
Um,
and then on tour for me, like I'm from Washington and we have a lot of trees, and so going to Maine feels like I'm going back home. So
100%. Um,
yeah.
the you kind of mentioned it also earlier. You said you wanted to vend and kind of do clinics and instruct in some way. And I know that from before you had come on tour, you were a teacher or worked in education in some
Mhm.
capacity. So was that a priority? Like, do you want to lean more into that? And if so, like, what does that look like? Is that a this year thing? Is that a 2 to 3 years from now thing?
Yeah, I'm hoping for a couple times to do a Chanimal challenge this year, similar to like I don't know
Mm.
if you're familiar with the Sexton Shootout. I'm sure you were.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you went to a couple of them. Definitely not to the scale that Sexton did it, because obviously he's Nate Sexton. But if I can do a couple
Mm-hmm.
little clinics slash doubles tournaments every couple months, I think that'd be pretty fun for not only the myself but the players. I love running juniors clinics. That's my my jam. I don't necessarily like teaching
Yeah.
adults. I can do it. It's enjoyable, but with the kids, you just see the progression really fast. You see the excitement, and with adults, you just see disappointment a lot. So I'm gonna try to focus on the kids and bring the channel to them, and maybe not necessarily stay on the tour, but go to small areas that aren't necessarily like by the preserve or by Idlewild and stuff, that and help them out and show them a
Mm-hmm.
side of disc golf that they might not have seen before. So, but yeah, I'm just looking. I've always enjoyed teaching, so if I can keep that going, my goal right now is just to stay in disc golf, whether it's playing, whether it's teaching, whether it's doing whatever, just trying to grow the sport and just be a part of something I love, and I've been a part of it for more than 20 years now. So yeah,
Yeah, and it is the sport you love, and I feel confident saying the sport does love you back. So as long as you're involved with disc
yeah,
golf, like that makes my heart happy because we need more Chanmels out there, and the work that you do
yeah, I
with
agree.
UPlay, you go out of your way a lot um, with just trying to grow the sport in actual ways instead of growing myself, which then would help grow the sport in some other passive way. So I
Yeah,
appreciate your efforts and like just the energy that you're bringing into disc golf as a whole. So I want to say that
well, thank you. Yeah, the work with you play has been
the
incredible. But yeah,
yeah, and I want to
yeah,
get
good.
to that because I know you took a actually
Yeah,
really
good.
awesome trip earlier in
I
the off
did.
season. And I'll get to that in one second, but I want to keep tagging on this TSA thing.
Yeah,
The
please.
fact that you're going to be throwing new discs, it's one of the craziest parts of every player's off season, especially when they sign to an open bag or something that gives them a little bit more flexibility or freedom with the plastic they throw. So, question number one: who is officially the best comet thrower in the world now? Because
Oof.
you're, giving up on that challenge between you, Andrew Fish, and MJ. So you're gonna have to give it to one of those two. And then number two, what are some discs you're loving from Thoughtspace that maybe you didn't have a chance at throwing before that you're really liking?
Yeah, it pains me to say this. It pains me to say this, but since I'm not throwing the Comet, I'm trying to replace the Comet. Fish is every once in a while the best player in the Comet thrower in the world, but Michael Johansson is still the greatest of all time.
Yeah, fair
So
is
I
fair.
mean, Fish had a little koozie made up that said "best comet thrower in the world" on one side, and on the other side it said "today," because we both acknowledge the fact that Michael Johansson is the supreme leader of comet throwers. But yeah, Fish is up there, MJ's up there, and you never know. I might put a comet back in my bag, but as of right now, I'm searching for other alternatives, and I think I found one, but I still got some more testing to do. But a couple
Mm.
TSA discs I'm really enjoying. I'm loving the Pathfinder, specifically the Eric Oakley Ethos Pathfinder. It is a straight flyer. It reminds me of a Buzz, which I used to love.
Mm-hmm.
Feels good in the hand. It's kind of a point and shoot disc. I'm really enjoying that. The Aura Praxis, the new throwing putter that I have in my
Mm-hmm.
bag. Uh, got it right here actually. This little
Smooth.
guy.
That was
Right?
slick little
Look at
bagging
that.
section. That was awesome.
There we go. My
All right.
pound bag, Seahawks colorway. Good for that. So yeah, the Aura Praxis is really nice, really good. I've gotten a couple different plastics, and they ranged in from like stable to slightly understable. So I'm enjoying throwing those. They remind me of like the Macbeth 2017 Macbeth Lunas or whatever that year was.
Mm-hmm.
The first
Mm-hmm.
year of Lunas that when they came out.
Yeah, 2019.
Thank you. Yeah. And then the Animus, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to try to make it my tour series because I think the Chanimus sounds kind of cool. But there's
Ooh, that
also
is
like
good. I like that actually.
the mantra, the Chana mantra. I'm playing with a bunch of things. The mantra is a nice
Mm-hmm.
flippy fairway driver, and I'm also with Infinite as well. So I've been rocking the Dynasty, the Emperor. I've been loving the Conqueror, James Proctor's speed 19 or whatever, whatever it is. It's a
Yeah, I
13,
know.
but it's fast. It's overstable. But yeah, it's kind of been nice. I've been hanging out with Ella Hansen in Seattle for the past month, and she caddied for a lot of James's rounds last year, and so she knows my bag better than me. And so if I'm stepping up to the tee with the wrong disc, she's like, "You should. Why are you throwing that? You should throw this." So it's been quite the help in the off season because I have a pro already helping me out. And also, I've been reaching out to
Well,
Eric and James and all of them, and they've been helping me out with disc selection and sending me discs and all that good stuff.
yeah, it's you know, it it can be a little overwhelming, just especially
Yeah,
like, you've been with Discraft for so long, and a lot of the players that I talk to have been with one sponsor for a long time. Then, maybe they're sponsored by Thoughtspace or Infinite Discs or any number of like a Mint Discs type thing where you can have more of an open bag, cast to plast kind of thing where you can throw open
yeah.
stuff. But have you taken any time to like, or are you this guy to learn any of the new discs that have come out over the last like 5 years? There's so many as compared to maybe when you were first getting with Discraft and throwing something slightly more open bag, or are you kind of like, I know what the classics are, and other than Thought Space, I'm kind of sticking to the classics. Like, are you out there looking at like, I don't even know, like are you a Rolo guy? Like, where do you stand?
Yeah, the Rolo's intriguing to me. I'm not sure it'd fit in my bag, but I'm trying to right now just stick mostly with Thought Space and Infinite and Infinite brands such as Doomsday Discs and all that, and Heiserbomb I think is Infinite. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
right now just stick with those. I think in the next couple weeks, a few of my old classics, like maybe a couple Innova discs, will come, maybe a Destroyer. I'm hoping not because I just found a flippy Emperor that I really like. But yeah, I'm trying to be true to Thought Space and Infinite as of right now. But you never know what could happen in the future. I might see a hole on tour and be like, oh, I need that comet, you know,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, the all the Thought Space plastic is completely new to me. But it's been while I'm learning the new discs, I'm relearning my game and adding some strengths and addressing some weaknesses that I didn't know were there. So it's been quite the process. It's been overwhelming a couple times. Ella's had to remind me, like, you have to calm down. You can't be mad. You're trying new discs. You're working out. You're sore. There's a bunch of different things going
Yeah,
on here.
exactly.
Just be patient. You're a good disc golfer, and the results will start coming up. So, but it's been fun.
Yeah, and sage advice from a relatively fresh disc golfer because it's true. You are a good disc golfer. Time will show. You know, let's take a dip back into last year though, because you
Yeah.
are a good disc golfer, but I think this last season was not your best display of disc golf.
No.
I know, we all
Far
know
from
that
it.
you're
Yeah.
you're you're a better player than how you finished this past season or what your rating might now reflect, given this past 12 months of play. So, you know, what happened? If to keep it short, like,
Yeah.
did you get into a rut? Kind of like talk to me about last season and just like the opinion of it as a whole.
Yeah. I think I went into the last season with a lot of hope, a lot of desire, and I think I might have just gone too hard at the start because I just started off absolutely horrible. I missed the first three caches of the year, and it was hard for me. It was hard on my mental health. It was hard on how I viewed myself in the community, and it was embarrassing. And I think that was the biggest part for me. I was just embarrassed, and I got to the point where like I didn't really want to do social media. I stopped doing mental health Mondays. I just didn't know what I was doing, and then like towards the like second half of the year, I was definitely thinking about like contractual things going on. Like, am I staying with Discraft for next year? Am I moving on? And that kind of started taking a toll, and I started to lose faith in my bag. Didn't know if you look at my stats, like I'm a sprinkler system off the tee pad. I'm like one of the worst drivers that has a tour card. And I like whenever I play
Wow.
disc golf, I feel like I'm a great driver. But if you look at my putting, that's like the one thing that stayed true the entire year. And I'm top five, top 10 in all of the putting stats. But if I could just bring the driving back a little bit. But yeah, I think it was mostly just a lack of confidence, kind of garnered by the start of the year, and just the amount of energy I had to start the year and the amount of hope I had that was just completely squashed. And yeah, it was just kind of tough. And I definitely am a guy that I respond positively to people reaching out to me and being like, "Hey, keep it up, you're doing fine." And it might have just been me being a little like whiner, but I wasn't getting a lot of that, so I felt a little isolated, and things just keep falling, and it was just tough. Yeah, and disc golf is hard. I mean,
I
it's a
mean,
day-to-day
I
thing. You can be with the best disc golfer on Monday and the worst disc golfer on Tuesday. So, I was just the worst disc
no
golfer
question.
for 300 days. It was great.
Well, first of
Yeah,
all, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, regardless of, professional athlete doing thing. It's never easy to
yeah,
underperform for how you feel like you are on the inside, no matter what it is, right? You could be on a job site completely unrelated to sports. You could be in an
yeah,
office, any situation. You could be in a relationship with your significant other. If you're performing under how you feel
yep.
like you should be, it's not going to be a fun feeling. And
That's
I
tough.
do. I appreciate you and your response to that, because you are, you have the mental health Mondays. You are somebody who goes above and beyond to say it's okay to cry, like you said earlier. Like it's, I see
Yeah,
you as a, I don't know, somebody who is in touch with, who's empathetic, I should say, more so than
yeah,
anything else, right?
for sure.
Empathetic,
Yeah,
and
to a fault. Yeah,
sometimes to a fault, right? And so when
yeah,
you're on tour and you're playing with some of the best players in the world, the best players in the world,
yeah,
and everybody, their ego and their self-worth is a lot of times tied up to how they're playing. So
hmm
maybe you don't have the answer to it yet, but like, how do you get out of a rhythm like that? How do you get out of a funk? I stayed at a few houses with you over this past
hmm
season. I saw the funk
yeah. You probably
firsthand.
saw it. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
and so how do you get out of that, or did you, or have you not? How did you battle that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I did was surround myself with success-oriented people, just people that cared about me, people that cared about not just how I played, obviously, but just my friendship and my mental health. I had a lot of people remind me last year that I'm not how I play, like that's not who I am. How I play is just a completely separate thing. Who I am off the course is way more important than who I. Well, either way, I found myself towards the second half of the year really trying to just be a positive person on the course, compliment other people, watch birds if I'm getting angry, just look up at the trees. But yeah, it was definitely tough. But I think the biggest thing were my tour family, like just like I said, Erica, James, Ella, Raven, Stacy, all of them just having my back, reminding me that I'm still a cool guy, even though I shot two up at Winthrop or whatever it was. uh, also, towards the second half of the year, like the middle of the year, I was invited to go to Africa. So that was definitely something I was looking forward to. And I kind of put a lot of my energy into that. Even like, I didn't really care about how I played at the moment because I knew in November I was heading to Africa and teaching disc golf and just experiencing amazing things. But it's tough to separate yourself from how you play on the disc golf course. That's for sure.
I mean, it
Yeah.
can be tough for 927 rated local players in Golden Gate Park to separate how they play on Sunday weekly rounds with how
Yeah.
their general mind state is. So I can't imagine, my annual income being determined by
Yeah.
that. It's high stakes, especially in a world where the tippity top are being very well compensated, but the
hmm
the mid
The
to
mid
slightly
level. Yeah.
lower side of the field is scrapping by, frankly. And it takes
Yeah.
a big
For
event
sure.
for them to get some cash in their pocket to make it through the next few rough events. So
Yeah. It's a
it is a
grind.
journey, and I appreciate you shedding some light and,
Yeah.
frankly, being vulnerable in that regard.
Yeah, it's definitely a
Um,
grind. It's brutal. It's not a vacation like a lot of people, like my mom thinks.
yeah,
It's not a 24/7 vacation. I mean, she knows I work,
yeah,
but at the same time, she's just like, "Oh, how was your trip to Vermont?" I'm like, "Well, it was a business trip. I was playing in a
yeah.
tournament, but it was fun."
And I got
Yeah,
smoked, so it was super terrible. No,
yeah, yeah,
so you just talked about it. The trip to Africa. I knew it was coming. I knew at the end of the season there was a few people who were kind of tagged to go on this awesome trip with you play over to Africa, and I didn't know exactly what the details were, but it sounded awesome. And I
yeah,
saw some of the content from it. It looked equally as awesome. Talk about the
It was
trip. Who
incredible.
put it
Yeah.
together? Who went? And what was the experience like?
So Uplay is the sustainability partner of Paul Macbeth Foundation, and they went in December of 2022. I went as well with them to Uganda. We spent a couple weeks in Katosi, which is this small fishing village on Lake Victoria, and Ndeje University, which is a sporting university near Kampala, which is the capital of Uganda. And we built a couple courses. We This is in 2022. We built a couple courses. We
Hmm.
did a bunch of clinics, taught thousands of people, and but the problem was all of our baskets were held up in what's the port in Kenya? It's not Mogadishu, it's Mombasa. They were held up in Mombasa,
Yeah.
and we weren't able, yeah, we weren't able to get the baskets until after we left, and so they had to put everything together. But one of the coolest things was when I showed up in November of this year with UPlay, and I saw the baskets in the ground at Ndeje University, and it was just like it was amazing because I was like, oh, what we did last year stuck, it's working. And then I got out of the bus and I saw all the kids and people playing disc golf, and it was just unbelievable. But this time around, November with UPlay was Zoe and Dustin leading the charge. Zoe Andyke and Dustin Keegan. We went to 2 weeks in Uganda, and then we had one person actually split off down to Zimbabwe to teach disc golf, and then we went to Kenya to do a couple fun things over there. But yeah, we held a tournament in Uganda, the first ever tournament in Uganda. We had 96 players show up. It was crazy. No one, there's a lot of people that didn't really know the rules. So we had one pro, one experienced player with every single group, and we were walking. It took
Mm.
quite a long time, but we successfully finished, and people got discounts off the tuition actually for placing. It was insane. Like we didn't know what was going on, but people were like first, second, and third were getting like 15, 10, and 5% off their tuition to Ndeje University, and
What?
that shook us. We were like, what? When did this happen? But yeah, and that was crazy. I think overall we ended up leaving like 2,000 discs over there, teaching well over 1,500 kids. We had one event where we had 350 kids in one event, and like six people teaching
Wow.
disc golf. It was absolutely insane. And then we went to Kenya, and we went to Rimpa Estates, which is this wildlife conservancy. And Paul Wright, actually, I don't know if you know that name, but he's a Washington Masters disc golfer. He actually
Mm-mm.
designed the course up there for the Paul Macbeth Foundation. Yeah, we had a couple clinics up there, a children's tournament, and then we ran our own tournament, the Ostrich Open. And I managed to do something pretty cool. I shot 19 down, which was insane. But the story actually, yeah, you saw that. Yeah, 19 down. It was
Yeah.
I think 17 birdies and one eagle. I'll be the first to say that the course is super soft, super soft. But here it is. Here's my excuse as to why it's one of my greatest rounds ever. Leading up to the tournament, we had taken a ride to Uganda in a small little van, and we got stuck behind the presidential motorcade. And so a 3 hour drive turned into a 5 hour drive, and my back got really messed up because we are going over these bumpy roads trying to get
Mm-hmm.
around this. It was awful. And so the next day I could barely walk because of lower back issues. And so I took a day off, and then the universe was like, you know what? You're not struggling enough. We're going to give you travelers, I'm going to say diarrhea. It was awful. So I'm dealing with lower back pain, and oh, I lost my and diarrhea, and I still am. And it's like my Michael Jordan flu game. I still managed to shoot a 19
Yeah.
down and win.
Thinking the same thing.
But yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience. 3 weeks in Africa is a long time. It was made a lot easier by the team I had. Zoe, Dustin, Raven Klein, who is an absolute gem of a human being. Uh, James Koizumi from Calgary, Canada. Alex Meyer, Raven's partner, also disc golf extraordinaire and really good with the camera. And then a couple UPlay
Mm-hmm.
board members, Kim and Sarah Johnson. And it was just it was a long time. It was at the end of the season. I was definitely angsting to get home, but it was definitely worth the trip.
Wow. I mean, insane experience. That like I can't imagine. Just I mean, 350 kids in one session is
It was
nuts.
insane.
But just hearing all that, hearing the adventure on the back end of that, and I know it's on the back end of a season where everyone's tired. It's
Mm.
9.5 months of go, go, go.
Yeah.
What were the exhaustion levels when you got home? Did you go into a small hibernation? Are you just waking up now? Like, what was that experience like?
Well, it kind of sucked, honestly, because so we flew into Charlotte and my van was there, and then I had to drive from Charlotte all the way back to Olympia, Washington, and that's a
Oh,
43, 44 hour drive. 44 hours.
yep,
Uh,
yep.
and I made a pit stop in Asheville, North Carolina, which added a couple hours to my trip, but I needed to go to White Duck Taco, and then that gave me horrible diarrhea.
Naturally.
And then so it was just it was an interesting 44 hours in the car. I was definitely sore. Like it's an 11-hour time difference between Charlotte
Yeah.
and Uganda. So I was definitely dealing with that and trying to just like go 12, 13 hours of driving a day while just being super tired. But it only took me 4 or 5 days, 4.5 days to get back. So I was pretty proud of that because I just wanted to get home, see my dog, see my mom, see my dad, and
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really feel the jet lag that bad. It was just the kind of like, dang, I was just in Africa for 3 weeks, and now I'm back here, and everything's back to normal. It's just kind of it was a weird adjustment coming back into America
Yeah.
because it's so different. Yeah,
Well, and just
yeah,
talk about like a different vibe as far as like the Pacific Northwest out in Washington
yeah,
compared to whatever the situation was when you were out in Uganda or Kenya. I'm sure it was just like a stark moisture difference, right? I mean, like
yeah,
it's insane
yeah.
climate
I was
just a change.
cold. I was very cold when I got back to
Yeah.
Washington. Yeah, and also I went to my
Um,
Evergreen disc golf course, my local course, and there were no ostriches by the first hole, and I thought that was kind of lame. So, yeah.
you're like, hey, can we import some, please?
Yeah, like
Um,
where's this Rimpa? Yeah, come on.
So 2023, slight down tick overall as far as career, as far as like your play on the course, but it did represent a transitionary time. And this offseason
Mm,
seems like it has been fairly successful, bit of an adventure. You're building up, you're going to be rock solid fit by the time the tour comes
dude,
around. I can already see it
super
coming.
swole.
For next season, though, new year, new bag. Last year, it seemed like you had some very specific goals that you didn't hit early. Are you going back with like a set of check marks that you're trying to hit for 2024? Are you just trying to have the disc feel good coming out of your hand? Like, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? What are you shooting for this season?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to put less weight on the first few events of the year because I think that's what set me off last year. It's just like, what am I doing? How am I doing this bad? When really I should have been like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm building up to something, and I'll be the second half of the middle of the season will be better. So I'm definitely going into it with a more relaxed mentality than last year because last year was tough. But yeah, I think if I can get to the point where my bag feels comfortable, if I have every single slot filled, if I get the distance back, I'm at like 450 right now, but obviously I need to get to like between the 5 and 550 range to be competitive. Then once I find those discs, I can do that with comfortably and consistently. Then I'll be good to go.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
last kind of topic I wanted to touch on before I get you out of here. We've talked a lot about frisbees. We've talked a lot about emotional journeys and existential crises. But what have you been watching this off season? What's the content that you've been enjoying? Are you a live sports junkie? Are you what's your streaming app of choice? Like, has there been any shows or movies you've been binging or loving so far?
Yeah. So I actually started watching Yellowstone, and I got to I
Ooh,
think halfway
nice.
through the fifth season and just stopped. I don't know why. I just haven't watched it for like 3 weeks now. Uh, but that was enjoyable. I just at a certain point I was just like, why are they keep on making the worst decisions for themselves and their family, and that's
Yeah.
what causes the
Again?
episode. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, oh, maybe don't punch that guy in the face and you'll be fine. I watch a lot of The Office. I'm a Seahawks fan, so I've been watching all the
Okay,
games,
there you
and
go.
I'm glad they ended on a high note and had to rely on opposing team's kicker to win a game again. That was great. God, they're so bad right now. Uh, I
Yeah.
also I also consume a lot of disc golf content. I watched the Aussie Open, which was, if you have not watched that yet, watch it. The commentary is incredible. I also watched the Polecat World Championships, and yours truly, Corey, is on the commentary team, and it's just fun watching James and Nick Hansen and Juliana Korver just shred through those woods with a polecat. It's insane. But my dad and I were talking. I'm gonna try to get to the polecat world championships next year. So if it's happening.
It's absolutely, I guarantee it's happening. So yes,
Yeah.
I love that. Whatever support you need getting down here, let me and the committee know. If it's lodging or whatever, however we need to figure it out, just let us know. We'll get you
Yeah.
down here, dude. It was so fun.
It looks so
The
fun.
event, it was so cool. So we were hanging out beforehand, great vibe. Honestly, there was more people spectating that polecat round than any tournament we've ever had at Golden Gate Park. It was a crazy
That's so good.
atmosphere. We
That's
had
so
the
cool.
cameras out. We had James. It was just like unbelievable. Then after the round, it was like, it felt like half the field at a pro event was out there just chilling. Like we had Alden and Gannon out there playing, and they were hanging out
I
after the
saw
round. So
that.
the
Yeah.
whole community got like a meet and greet with like all their favorite players. So anything
That's
I
so
can do
cool.
or we can do to get you out there, let me know. It was
Yeah.
such a fun event. So it's the fact that
Yeah,
you
I'm
brought that
definitely gonna
up
try.
unprompted is like makes my heart sing a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. If you for all the people watching, if you haven't watched the Polecat World Championships, get on YouTube, check it out. It's awesome.
Yes, head over to Gatekeeper Media. That's where that is located. They
Yep.
actually just tagged me in something else on Instagram as we were talking, so I'm
Nice.
excited to look at that. But Chandler, thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with me on a particularly rainy Tuesday here in San Francisco. That is about all I
Yeah.
have for this interview. A, what's the weather like there? And B, this is your chance to speak to the people at home, the fans of Mr. Chandler Fry.
Oh, awesome. The weather is looking okay. It's a little windy out there. I'm not sure if you can see the trees moving. But it's supposed to rain later today, so and I can't play anyway because my gashed shin,
Yeah.
which sucks. But to the Chanimal Fanimals out there, I appreciate you all. Look forward to some of the Thoughtspace Tour Series discs, Infinite Tour Series disc. Uh, Check out Happy with Par. Check out Pure Disc Golf. Check out if you want to spend $500 on a beautiful bag. Check out Pound Disc Golf. Honestly, like the best bag I've ever had in my entire life. It holds everything I could possibly need. It's got all the discs in there, plenty of room for towels, jackets. It's just quality made and made in America. So check them out. And yeah, I look forward to seeing y'all on the course.
Well, thanks again, Chandler, for taking the time. And you just blew my mind with the Fanimals. I'm like all in on that now. That's just good branding. We need to bring that into the
Yeah.
limelight. But again, like I said, that is about all I had for this interview. I had a ton of fun speaking. But for you at home, if you would like interviews with all of your favorite disc golfers and frankly, some industry people coming up, I'd like to get into that too. If you'd like interviews
Nice.
and content, all that good stuff, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel very soon.